Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we're diving deep into the truly grim reality of the Hex Hunters from the Grim Shadows universe. We are going to be cracking open the official Tangenol Guild dossier to really unpack their dark lore. And look, if you thought you already knew what it took to be a monster hunter, you might want to brace yourself. Prepare to have those assumptions totally shattered, because this organization completely redefines the concept of a double-edged sword. To really grasp the lore of the Deadlands, we have to explore this terrifying paradox. Imagine a guild that the common people simultaneously depend upon for their very survival, yet absolutely desperately fear. The Hex Hunters? Yeah, they aren't your typical shining knights in armor, not even close. They're an organization entirely defined by a vicious, unending cycle of survival, addiction, and grim necessity.
All right, Section 1, Saviors of the Deadlands, a necessary evil.
So let's dive into this. The Hex Hunters are this highly secretive professional monster hunting guild, and they operate in literally one of the most dangerous regions imaginable, the Deadlands. The common folk there are just constantly besieged by the undead, cursed beings, nightmarish creatures, you name it. Now, to survive being the ultimate protectors against these kinds of threats, the guild demands a terrifying transformation. They basically take ordinary, highly vulnerable humans and alter them into something else entirely. They emerge with enhanced strength, crazy speed, rapid healing, the ability to see perfectly in total darkness, and this innate, though honestly sometimes kind of unreliable, monster sense. And this transformation is so profound that it literally frees native hunters from the fatal curse of the Deadlands border. Normally, innocents who leave the region without permission just waste away and die within a week, but a Hex Hunter's mutated body, totally immune to that magic.
Moving on to Section 2, the Catalyst, Witch Blood. Power with a terrible price.
So how do they actually pull off this incredible physical superiority? Well, spoiler alert, it doesn't come from hitting the gym or getting some kind of divine blessing. The source of these mutations is this heavily guarded, super mysterious alchemical catalyst called witch blood. Now, don't let the name fool you, okay? Nobody outside the guild actually knows if it contains the blood of a real witch. What we do know for sure is that it's brewed directly from harvested monster parts. Taking what they call the first drink completely rewrites a person's physiology, giving them all those incredible powers we just talked about. But man, the cost is staggering. It creates a permanent, inescapable biological addiction. Without a constant supply of witch blood, a hunter just cannot survive.
Here's the really crucial point though. While witch blood grants them this incredible physical prowess, it only provides roughly a 50% resistance to magic. They aren't fully immune to spells. So think about what that actually means. A 50% resistance means a single misstep against, say, a lich or a powerful spellcaster. That's instant death, or worse, mind control. And since they don't usually use magic themselves, they have to rely entirely on their physical skills, their heightened senses, pure stealth, and their hardened leather armor to survive encounters with the absolute worst things the Deadlands have to throw at them.
Which brings us to Section 3, the Curse, the Red Curtain, when heroes become threats. Because while the powers granted by Witchblood sound pretty amazing on paper, the withdrawal is straight-up nightmare fuel. If a hunter misses a dose, they don't just get the flu, they enter this homicidal withdrawal state known as the Red Curtain. And the really scary part, the timing of this withdrawal is completely unpredictable. A hunter can't just, mark a calendar so they know when the Red Curtain is going to fall. The safe period depends wholly on which specific type of monster and which exact body parts were used to brew their most recent dose of Witchblood. You could literally have two hunters fighting the exact same type of creature, but if they extract different materials, one of them might enter withdrawal days before the other.
As this withdrawal sets in, the hunter's mind just fractures into a complete killing rage. Under the Red Curtain, a hunter might brutally murder an innocent bystander over a minor annoyance, like a blocked path, an irritating comment, or absolutely no clear reason at all. The victim doesn't have to be a monster or an enemy. This is honestly what makes the lore so incredibly compelling. In this state, the very savior of the village becomes its absolute deadliest threat. It completely obliterates the line between good and evil.
And believe it or not, it gets worse. Even fellow guild members aren't safe from a brother or sister in withdrawal. If a hunter's mind slips behind the Red Curtain, they will slaughter their own comrades just as quickly as they take down a vampire. This terrifying reality is actually the main reason these lethal warriors almost always work and travel completely alone. It's strictly to minimize the risk of friendly casualties when the withdrawal inevitably fits.
The really horrific reality of this condition is that one murder will usually snap the hunter back to normal awareness. They literally wake up from the rage, just standing over a body. But if they were already in a hostile situation, like say they were surrounded or threatened when the curtain actually fell, one death might not be enough. They might slaughter an entire room before regaining control of themselves. And the absolute most tragic part of this whole thing, waking up from the red curtain doesn't cure the addiction. Not at all. It just resets the clock. Without more witch blood, the curtain is just going to fall again.
Okay, moving into Section 4, Secrets of the Guild, Shadows and Unknowns. So, beyond the tragic existence of the individual hunters, the Guild, as an organization, operates with this level of extreme secrecy that keeps the rest of the world entirely in the dark. They've completely weaponized silence to protect their operations. Just take their recruitment, for instance. The incredibly bleak life cycle typically begins with impoverished parents essentially surrendering their children to the Guild in exchange for coin. The parents might be fed some line about the child being trained as a hero, but the recruits themselves rarely understand what actually awaits them. Those children, who somehow survive the terrifying mutation of the first drink, they become hunters. But those who fail to qualify aren't just cast out, they become permanent support staff. We're talking cooks, guards, laborers, meaning the actual total population of the Guild is way larger than just the number of active hunters.
The Guild deliberately hides nearly every single detail about its existence. Nobody outside the organization knows who founded it or why. We know they've survived 2 massive historical destructions, one by an undead horde, one by betrayal, but they outright refuse to share the details. Even their headquarters, this fortress known as Hellock, is a total mystery. Its location is completely hidden, and there are even rumors suggesting the entire fortress might physically or magically move. We don't even know for sure if they allow non-humans to join, or if they have secret safe houses scattered across the Deadlands. The silence is just absolute.
Even looking at their internal structure, we only know the most basic hierarchy. The organization is led by the super enigmatic Grand Hunter Grim Steel. Beneath him, you have Master Hunters, Hunters, Stalkers, and Travelers. But the actual day-to-day duties, the training requirements, the standards for promotion, or the level of authority each rank actually holds, that remains a complete mystery to the outside world.
Finally, Section 5, The Endless Cycle, Hunting to Survive.
This ultimately brings us to how this incredibly tragic, secretive existence actually translates out in the field. Because when a hex hunter goes out into the Deadlands, they are participating in an eternal, inescapable hunt. The everyday people referred to in the lore as normals, they're locked in this really desperate dependency with the Guild. They hire the hunters to slay vampires, death knights, werewolves, because honestly no local guard is going to survive those threats. Yet the literal moment the contract is signed, village leaders are frantically warning their people to stay indoors and keep entirely away from their quote-unquote saviors. They know all too well that a hunter in withdrawal is just as deadly as the monster they were hired to kill.
Now, to fulfill these highly dangerous contracts, a solitary hunter relies on really specialized equipment. They use hardened leather that's been modified for completely silent movement, and they carry an arsenal heavily reliant on silver. We're talking blades, spears, chains, and hammers tailored to very specific threats. And let me be clear, they do not discriminate. The Guild recognizes no protected class of monster whatsoever. If they are threatened or if they are paid, a hex hunter will kill anything, regardless of the creature's age, intelligence, or title.
But here is the really profound twist of this lore. This is the mechanism that keeps the entire guild functioning. They don't just hunt for bounties or for the noble protection of the innocent. They hunt to harvest. The bodies of the monsters they kill are quite literally the raw materials required to brew their next dose of witch blood.
So you see, it is an inescapable, bloody cycle. A hunter must track a monster, execute the kill, harvest the specific body parts, and brew the blood just to delay the madness of the Red Curtain for a little while longer. The entire organization is biologically changed to the very monsters they are sworn to destroy.
And that leaves us with a genuinely chilling question about the delicate, grim balance of the Deadlands. The Hex Hunters are entirely dependent on a steady supply of monstrous prey just to stave off their own homicidal madness. So, if they ever actually succeeded in their mission, if they ever eradicated all the monsters, what would happen to an entire guild of addicted, superpowered killers when the witch blood finally runs dry? It is a terrifying thought to leave you with. I really hope this explainer has given you a deeper understanding of this endlessly fascinating, paradoxical guild. Until next time, keep exploring the shadows.